Ethan Miller stepped off the landing pod onto the soft red soil of Ariel 7. The air smelled faintly of spice and rain. He looked at his team behind him. 3 soldiers in light armor, a botanist, and his second-in-command, Olivia Bates. Ethan took a steady breath. He had trained for this moment for years. He would meet the natives of this world for the first time. They walked slowly toward a group of tall, slender figures. The visitors wore flowing robes of pale green and blue. Their skin had a gentle silver sheen. The tallest figure raised a hand. The scout team froze. Olivia held her breath behind the tinted visor of her helmet. The tall native spoke in a soft tone. Ethan listened even though he could not understand the words. One of his team stepped forward. Specialist Grant activated his universal translator. A clear voice came through their earpieces. "Welcome, travelers, to our home." The silver-skinned leader bowed lightly. "I am called Zoe. We have awaited your arrival." Ethan lifted his helmet and bowed in return. He spoke slowly, emphasizing each word. "I am Ethan Miller. This is my team. We come in peace." Behind him, Olivia lowered her own helmet. She gave Zoe a gentle nod. "We bring friendship from Earth," Zoe smiled. Her hair flowed around her shoulders in thick braids, each strand glimmering softly. The humans gasped as they saw light dance in the hair. Zoe led them deeper into the settlement. Ariel 7's capital lay in a shallow valley. Buildings rose from the ground like smooth pillars of white stone. Paths wound around gardens of blue flowers. Crystalline pools reflected the sky like mirrors. The scout team followed Zoe to a circular pavilion. A low platform sat in its center. On the platform lay long ribbons of woven hair, red and gold and brown. Each braid ended in a small charm carved from polished wood. Olivia studied the ceremony area. She tapped her translator. "What is this ceremony?" she asked Zoe. Zoe's eyes brightened. She spoke to her people. Then her voice came through the device. "It is the hair offering. Every decade we honor our bond with nature. Our hair holds the light of our ancestors. We share it with our world to keep balance." Ethan nodded. He remembered from the briefing that hair held deep meaning in their culture. He felt respect rise inside him. Zoe pointed at Olivia. "Will you join us?" Olivia shook her head. "We do not braid hair like you, but we can watch." Zoe smiled and motioned for them to sit on smooth stone benches that circled the platform. All the humans obeyed. Ethan felt his heart beat faster. He had given many speeches, but none like this. Then the ceremony began. 3 women emerged from the pavilion roof. They moved in perfect harmony. Their robes glowed as they lifted handfuls of hair from the ribbons. Each braid they took seemed to pulse with light. The women placed the braids into shallow bowls filled with colored sand. They moved swiftly, scattering petals and chanting words that traveled on the wind. Zoe watched them with pride. Ethan felt the calm wash over him. He closed his eyes and let the chanting soothe his nerves. After a time, Zoe rose and beckoned him. "Human friend, would you offer a token in return?" Ethan stood. His mind raced. What could he give that would honor their tradition? He felt a tap. On his shoulder, Olivia whispered, "Your mirror piece." He remembered the old mirror he had carried since training days. It had cracked in transport, leaving sharp edges but still reflecting light. He had wanted to discard it. But now he saw its value. He drew a small shard from his pack. The metal frame still held a polished edge. He offered it to Zoe with both hands. Zoe's eyes widened. She took the shard and turned it toward the sun. It caught a beam of light and threw it across the pavilion. The golden glow bathed every face. Zoe smiled at Ethan. "Your gift carries the light of your world." Ethan felt relief. He bowed his head. "I hope it honors your custom." Zoe held the shard against her chest. She motioned for Olivia. Olivia stepped forward, and Zoe placed the shard on her braided hair. The mirror glowed red in her dark braids. A soft murmur rose from the assembled crowd. The ceremony reached its peak. Zoe led the humans back to the benches. She sat beside Ethan and offered him water from a carved cup. Ethan drank slowly. The cool liquid tasted of mint and honey. He let The moments sink in. This world felt alive in a way he had never known. As the sun dipped low, the ceremony ended. Zoe and her people knelt beside the bowls. They gathered the hair and buried it in the gardens. Each braid returned to the earth under the blue petals. Ethan watched as Zoe placed the mirror shard into her braid. It fit perfectly. Zoe rose and extended her hand. "Friends of Earth," she said. "You are welcome in our world." Ethan took her hand firmly. "Thank you, Zoe. We look forward to peace and learning." Olivia tapped her cum. "Base, this is Miller. First contact secured. We will begin cultural studies at dawn." He turned to Zoe. "We will need to learn your language more. Will you help us?" Zoe's eyes shone. "Yes, at sunrise we begin lessons. You will know our words by nightfall." Ethan felt hope for the future. He looked at Olivia. She smiled under her visor. Even the soldiers relaxed. Night fell and lanterns lit the pavilion. The humans stayed with the natives for a simple meal. They tasted sweet fruit and warm bread baked on stone hearths. Ethan rose and made a short speech without shouting. "Tonight is a step forward. Tomorrow we build trust. Ariel 7 will be a home away from home." The humans raised their cups. Zoe and her people raised theirs in return. A single moment of unity under twin moons sealed a bond that would shape both worlds. Ethan looked at the broken mirror shard resting on Zoe's braid. He knew the journey had only begun. But in the soft glow of alien lanterns, he felt the promise of friendship stronger than any fear. At sunrise, Zoe led Ethan Miller and Olivia Bates to a wide courtyard where stone benches faced a low dais. A gentle breeze carried the scent of blue petals and warm sand. Sunlight glinted from glass lanterns high on carved posts. Ariel 7's people gathered quietly, dressed in simple robes of pale green and tan. Zoe motioned for Ethan and Olivia to sit near the front. Around them, native students of all ages took their places. Some held tablets of carved ivory. Others carried bundles of hair ribbons, each a symbol of knowledge passed from teacher to pupil. Ethan cleared his throat. He tapped his universal translator. "Good morning. We thank you for teaching us." Zoe smiled and spoke in her soft voice. Her words came through the device, precise and clear. "We welcome you. Today we share our language. You share yours tomorrow." Olivia gently bowed. "We are eager to learn and to teach." The morning began with simple greetings. Zoe taught the word for sun. Ethan repeated it carefully. He pointed to the sky. "Solari." He smiled when Zoe nodded. Olivia repeated the word several times until her accent matched Zoe's. Then she taught Zoe the human word for friend. The old translator speaker crackled, but Zoe managed to say, "Friend." She bowed and pointed. At Ethan, he bowed back. Next, Zoe led the group to the reflecting pool at the heart of the settlement. The water was clear as glass. Stones beneath formed swirling patterns like veins in marble. A low hum rose from the water, a gentle vibration that made the air feel alive. Zoe took the mirror shard from her braid and held it over the pool. The shard redirected sunlight into the water, creating a ripple of light that bounced off the walls of nearby buildings. The students gasped in wonder. Zoe spoke, and the translator said, "This pool holds memory. We see our past here." She tapped the water surface and smiled. A pale-skinned girl stepped forward. She studied the pool and then pointed at the shard. Zoe handed it to her. The girl held it carefully, eyes bright with curiosity. Ethan watched this with growing respect. He whispered to Olivia, "Their culture values light and reflection." "They record history in water," Olivia nodded. "We must be careful with the shard. It may hold more meaning than we know." After the pool lesson, Zoe led the humans and students to a grove of violet trees. Branches arched like umbrellas overhead. Leaves whispered softly as they moved in the breeze. At the center stood an ancient tree whose bark was smooth and pale. Zoe placed the shard against the trunk. It fit into a natural crevice. Light from the shard disappeared into the wood, as if the tree drank it. The students sat on smooth roots and watched as the tree glowed from within. Zoe spoke, translated, "This is the heartwood. It stores our stories." Each shard we offer brings memory. To the people. Ethan felt a gentle warmth in his chest. He felt honored and nervous. He wondered how humans could repay such a gift. Zoe led them back to the courtyard. Now you share a story from your home. Ethan glanced at Olivia, then took a breath. He spoke into the translator. On Earth we share tales around fire. He pointed to the sun and said, Our sun is bright and yellow. We tell stories by its light. He told a simple story of a child finding hope after a storm. He used simple words so the students could follow. He looked at Zoe. On Earth, mirrors show our faces. We learn from our reflection. He pointed to the shard at Zoe's braid and smiled. We thank you for showing us light in many ways. The students clapped softly. Zoe raised her hands and smiled at Ethan. Olivia spoke next, sharing a human tale of friendship between animals in a forest. The students listened with wide eyes. As the lesson ended, Zoe gathered the students. She handed each an ivory tablet and a length of ribbon. Take this knowledge into your lives. Share it with your families. The humans packed their gear. Olivia whispered, We learned much today. Now we must rest. Tomorrow we explore resource maps and technology exchange. Ethan nodded. He felt tired but excited. He knew this first day of lessons would shape the mission. That night, under twin moons, Ethan and Olivia dined with Zoe's family in a private room. They sat on cushions around a low stone table. Plates of steamed roots, spiced fruit, and sweet nuts filled the surface. They drank warm tea that tasted of jasmine and honey. Zoe's mother, an elder with hair the color of dusk, leaned forward. She placed a hand on Zoe's shoulder. Then she pointed at Ethan and spoke slowly. The translator whispered, You have honored our customs. You show respect and curiosity. We welcome you as brothers. Ethan felt emotion rise. Thank you. It is an honor to learn your ways. Zoe's mother nodded. Tomorrow we travel beyond our walls. You will see the world that shapes us. Olivia raised her cup. We look forward to discovering your land and sharing ours. They ate in peaceful silence until the last morsel was gone. The next morning, the scout team prepared to depart. They loaded supplies onto a hover cart. Zoe and a small company joined them. The path wound out of the city and into wild lands. They passed fields of spiny plants that glowed blue at night. Huge rock formations rose like gates. Zoe explained each feature, where to find water, where to avoid unstable ground, where the heartwood trees grew. Ethan took notes on his tablet. He sketched the shapes of plants and made lists of native names. Olivia recorded mineral samples and mapped soil readings. After hours of travel, they reached a canyon. The walls rose steep and smooth. A river ran between, its currents strong and cold. Zoe paused at the rim. This river feeds our pools and gardens, she said. She held the mirror shard above her head. The shard caught sunlight and split it into colored beams that danced on the canyon walls. Ethan watched the light show. He felt its beauty in every beam. Then Zoe placed the shard back in her braid. Suddenly the river's surface shimmered. A shape rose from the water. It looked like a long fish with scales of silver and green. The creature arched and dove back, leaving ripples behind. Zoe's eyes lit with joy. You see the river spirit? It guards our water. She bowed her head to the canyon. We honor it with light and song. Ethan felt a chill of fear and wonder mix in his chest. For all their polite lessons, the natives held power in ways he barely understood. Olivia tapped her cum. Miller, this is Base. Do you copy? Ethan responded. Base, we are proceeding as planned. We will send detailed reports tonight. Over. Olivia turned off her cum and looked at Ethan. We need to be sure we respect every custom. This world responds to light in ways we can't predict. Ethan nodded. Tomorrow we ask about reflective metals and safe ways to study them. For now we follow Zoe's lead. They set up camp on sandy ground near the river's edge. Zell made a small fire of dried branches. Sparks flew up like tiny stars. Zoe's people sang a soft melody as they tended the fire. Ethan sat and watched. He felt the weight of responsibility. They had come to begin a new alliance. Each gesture, each gift, would shape how humans and Ariel 7 grew together. As midnight approached, Ethan closed his eyes and let the song carry him into sleep. Reflections of light danced on his eyelids. He dreamed of the desert sun and the silver river spirit. He saw Zoe's braid shining with the mirror shard. He saw entire cities lit by beams of light, connecting every heart. When he woke, he would carry these visions into reality. Tomorrow, part 3 of their journey would begin. But for now, under the watchful eyes of twin moons, he felt hope stronger than fear, and trust woven into the very air he breathed. At dawn, sunlight brushed the horizon with pale gold. Ethan Miller stood beside Olivia Bates at the edge of their camp. Zoe arrived with 2 guides, their robes fluttering in the soft breeze. The humans packed breakfast, dried fruits, nut bars, and tea into small satchels. Zoe smiled at Ethan. Today we climb the Crystal Spire. From there you will see why our city is hidden from distant eyes. Ethan nodded. He slung his pack over one shoulder. Lead the way. They followed a narrow path that wound uphill. Violet trees lined the trail, their leaves whispering ancient songs. Underfoot, stones glowed faintly. Zoe's guides paused to gather samples of moss and glowing pebbles. Ethan watched them work with care. He took notes. This moss holds water in its veins, Zoe explained through the translator. It survives even when the land is dry. We use it to heal wounds and store water. Olivia knelt to touch the moss. She breathed in its fresh scent. Can we bring samples back to study? Zoe nodded. Yes, but treat it with respect. Take only what you need, Ethan agreed. We will be careful. As they climbed higher, the air grew cooler. The view opened to reveal rolling plains dotted with strange rock formations. In the distance shimmered their settlement, its white towers like stars fallen to the ground. Zoe led them to a narrow ledge. Ahead rose the Crystal Spire, a column of translucent stone reaching toward the sky. Light danced through its facets, splitting into colors like a rainbow. The spire is alive, Zoe said softly. It breathes with the world's energy. It speaks through light. Ethan felt awe. He placed a hand on the spire's surface. It pulsed gently beneath his palm. He drew back, heart racing. The guides produced small instruments, thin rods that glowed at the tip. They traced lines along the spire. The rods recorded data on energy flow and vibrations. Olivia watched the instruments. Their technology blends science and nature. They record energy like we record sound. Zoe nodded. We share knowledge. Today you learn, tomorrow you teach. Ethan tapped his translator. Will you show us how to use these rods? Zoe's eyes lit. Yes, we begin lessons now. They settled on flat terraces ringing the spire. Zoe's people demonstrated how to hold the rods and read the glowing patterns. The lights formed lines and shapes that corresponded to levels of energy and resonance. Ethan practiced. He held the rod steady and watched the glow shift from green to blue. He transmitted a data set back to his command. Olivia adjusted her grip and noted the readings. After an hour, Zoe clapped her hands. Well done, now you try on your own. Ethan and Olivia spread out along the terrace. Each took a rod and traced the spire's curves. They laughed quietly when their readings matched Zoe's examples. A sudden wind rattled the spire. Light beams scattered across the cliffs. The guides gasped and pointed below. In the valley, dark shapes moved. A pack of creatures emerged, four-legged beasts with long necks and armored backs. They trotted toward the base of the spire. Zoe stood and drew her braid back. They come to purify the spire when it calls. The beasts paused at the path's end. One sniffed the air and let out a low rumble. Zoe spoke softly. The beasts bowed their heads and approached. One pressed its muzzle against the spire's base. A pulse of light ran down its back, and the creature trembled with a soft hum. Ethan watched, breath caught in his throat. The beasts acted like sacred guardians, not animals. They purified the spire, renewing its power. Zoe's hands glowed as she placed her palms on a beast's flank. The glint of the mirror shard in Zoe's braid caught Ethan's eye. He realized its purpose, not only to reflect light, but to share energy with living things. Olivia pointed to The beasts, are they dangerous? Zoe shook her head. No, they protect the spire. They only harm if balance is broken. Ethan lowered his transport rifle. He felt respect for the creatures. His team would need to study them carefully. When the beasts finished, they backed away and vanished into the grove. The valley fell silent again. Zoe motioned for them to return to the trail. Come, we have more to show. They descended the path until they reached a plateau overlooking a network of tunnels carved into red rock. Zoe explained these were old passageways for water flow and travel. The settlers kept them hidden to protect the land's balance. We bring your scouts here once every generation, Zoe said. Now you join their ranks. She led them into the tunnels. The walls glowed with embedded crystals. Water dripped in steady rhythm. Their feet echoed as they walked. Olivia turned on a portable lamp. The light made the crystals sparkle like stars. She pulled out a small scanner. This rock has high thermal capacity. It stays cool even when the sun is high, Zoe nodded. Yes, we rest here in midday heat. They followed a series of arches until they reached a chamber. A pool of clear water filled the center. Steam rose in loose curls. Zoe gestured at the pool. This is the warm spring. It heals wounds and soothes the mind. It flows from deep in the earth. Ethan dipped his hand into the water. It felt warm and gentle. He closed his eyes and let the stress of space and first contact wash away. Olivia knelt and scooped water into a flask. We will analyze its properties. It may help our explorers, Zoe smiled. All knowledge shared as equals. They returned to the surface. Zoe and her guides built a small fire while the humans unpacked dehydrated rations. They ate in companionable silence. Ethan spoke to Zoe. Your world is full of surprises. We came to study you, but you teach us more than we imagined. Zoe tilted her head. Our world is alive. We seek balance. Humans must learn that light and water speak two languages. Olivia raised her tea, to balance and friendship. Zoe joined in the toast, to harmony between worlds. As night fell, they pitched a small tent. Olivia and Ethan slept under the stars. Zoe and her guides camped nearby, tending a soft lantern that glowed like moonlight. Ethan dreamed of glowing rods, singing beasts, and crystal tunnels. He awoke before dawn, eager for the next lesson. Tomorrow they would return to the city and discuss trade and technology, but for now he sat in quiet reflection. He thought of Zoe's words about balance. He thought of his broken mirror, shard once a fragment of Earth technology, now a key to friendship. Sunlight rose on Ariel 7. Ethan stood and faced the horizon. He felt ready for whatever lay ahead. Part 3 of their journey had shown him the living heart of this world, and he would guard its secrets as fiercely as the beasts guarded the spire. At sunrise, Ethan Miller and Olivia Bates gathered their gear. Zoe arrived, smiling in the pale light. She led them down a hidden trail into a valley of white stones. The ground glowed softly as if lit from within. The team walked in silence, listening to Zoe's gentle footsteps. Olivia studied the stones, noting their smooth surfaces. She tapped her scanner, which hummed in her hand. Ethan spoke quietly. What makes these stones glow? Zoe replied, and the translator spoke. They are called light stones. They absorb sunlight by day and release a gentle glow at night. They guide travelers through darkness. They reached a narrow cave entrance. Zoe held a hand over her braid as if it gave her courage. Inside, the walls shimmered with embedded light stones. The glow turned the cave into a tunnel of stars. Olivia switched on a small lamp to compare the glow. Light stones are natural luminescent crystals. On Earth, we study similar minerals for energy use. Zoe nodded. We wish to share them with your people, but they must be taken with care. Ethan touched a stone in the wall. It felt warm. We will learn your methods. Zoe led them deeper until they reached a chamber. In its center stood a pedestal holding a single, large lightstone. Its glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Zoe spoke. This is the heartstone. It keeps the valley alive. If it fades, the valley grows cold. Ethan and Olivia exchanged glances. They felt the stone's energy. Zoe continued. You may take a sample of smaller stones from the walls, but the heart stone remains. Olivia knelt and selected small crystals from a lower seam. She placed them carefully in a pouch. Ethan recorded data on his tablet. When they finished, they returned to the cave entrance. The tunnel glowed softly behind them. Outside, Zoe led them across a desert plain. The heat rose in waves. In the distance, huge dunes formed shifting hills. Zoe pointed ahead. The sand sea, it changes every hour. But beneath it lies the old road of ancestors. They climbed a sand dune and saw lines in the sand below. Parallel ridges ran straight as an arrow. Olivia used a drone to map the road. This road is ancient. It follows magnetic lines in the ground. Zoe smiled. Your people use metal to navigate. We read the Earth's pulse. They followed the hidden road, walking in silence. The dunes rose and fell. Ethan felt dizzy in the heat. But Zoe's calm guided him. At midday, they reached a cluster of stone arches. Birds with silver feathers perched atop. Zoe touched one feather. These birds guide travelers to water. They call to each other in patterns. We follow their song. A branching call echoed in the air. The birds took flight, circling above. Their song led the group to a hidden oasis. Water pooled beneath palm-like plants. Tall grass swayed. The air smelled of honey. The humans drank deeply. Olivia collected water samples. Ethan refilled his canteen. Zoe said, "This oasis is sacred. It protects life in this desert." "Take only what you need," Ethan bowed his head. "We respect your land." After rest, they returned to Zoe's city. On the way, Olivia asked Zoe to teach more language. Zoe smiled and taught them new words. Water song, pulse, heart. Back at the settlement, twilight settled over white spires. Lanterns lit corridors. Humans and natives met in a high hall. Zoe's council awaited. They sat in a semicircle. Zoe stood before them with Ethan and Olivia. One elder spoke. The translator said, "We accept your study of our crystals and roads. In return, we ask you share your knowledge of metal and engines." Ethan nodded. "We will share data on power converters and material strength." Another elder asked, "Will you help defend our water sources?" Olivia answered, "We bring sensors and barriers. We will work with you to protect your land." The council smiled and stood. They bowed to Ethan and Olivia. Zoe stepped forward and placed her hand on Ethan's shoulder. Zoe spoke, "Friends from Earth, we welcome you as partners." The hall filled with soft applause. Lightstones embedded in walls brightened in celebration. Later, Zoe led the humans to a balcony overlooking the city. Below, gardens glowed under the Heartstone's light. Paths wound like rivers of light. Ethan whispered, "This world is more beautiful than any map." Olivia squeezed his hand. "Tomorrow we begin joint research, but tonight we rest in peace." Zoe smiled. "Your people are welcome in our world." They watched twin moons rise over Ariel 7. Lightstones and lanterns gave the city a gentle glow. Humankind and alien nations stood together, ready for a future built on balance and shared light. Under the moons, soft winds carried the promise of friendship across the red plains. Morning light filtered through high windows of the council hall. Ethan Miller stood beside Olivia Bates as Zoe arranged tools and datapads on a long stone table. Today marked the start of joint research between humans and Ariel 7 natives. Zoe cleared her throat. "We begin with energy conversion. Human machines use engines. We show you our crystal power. Then you teach us your engine design." Ethan nodded. He opened his tablet. "Yes, we will demonstrate our power converter and its efficiency." Olivia placed a small device on the table. It looked like a metal box with glowing ports. "This is our converter. It turns chemical fuel into electricity." Zoe's guides traced their glowing rods along the crystal heartstone replica on the table. It pulsed gently. Zoe pointed at the converter port. "We channel crystal energy similarly." A group of natives and soldiers gathered around the table. Olivia began the demonstration. She connected a fuel cell to the converter and switched it on. Lights on the device blinked green. On a screen, power readings climbed. Zoe and her guides watched closely. One elder asked, "What fuel do you use?" Ethan answered, hydrogen and carbon compounds. We refine them on Earth. Zoe spoke into her translator. Our crystals store energy from sunlight and water. We teach you to grow them. Olivia explained Earth's fuel cycles, extraction, refinement, use, and recycling. She spoke simply so Zoe's people could follow. Next, a crystal was placed in a containment field. The rods recorded its energy flow. The glow from the crystal powered a small lantern. Zoe smiled. We did this for centuries. Now humans can share their knowledge. Ethan felt pride. He tapped his base, mission update, successful tech exchange. As the crowd dispersed, one guide approached Ethan. May we see your training on tool assembly? Ethan agreed. They moved to a nearby workshop. Tables held gears, wires, and fabric samples. Ethan taught basic wrench and soldering techniques. Zoe's people watched and tried each step. One native struggled with a connector. Olivia knelt beside her. She guided the woman's hands and spoke softly. The woman's face lit with understanding. She tightened the bolt correctly. Ethan smiled. Your people learn quickly. Zoe laughed. Our world taught us to read nature's code. Machines are just another code. After lunch, they visited a cultural archive. Shelves held hair ribbons and memory tablets. Zoe led Ethan to a reading chamber. Lightstones in the ceiling glowed softly. Zoe spoke. Here we store stories of our people. We record sound with vibration crystals. Will you show us your recordings? Olivia connected a small recorder. She played a clip of ocean waves and a child's laughter. The recorder's speaker filled the chamber. Ariel 7's people gasped at the unfamiliar sounds. An elder stepped forward. Your world sings with water and life. We wish to store these sounds in our archive. Ethan nodded. We bring more recordings tomorrow. Songs, speeches, nature sounds. Zoe bowed. We share our voice as well. As evening fell, Zoe invited the humans to a feast in the main pavilion. Colored lanterns hung from carved pillars. Tables held platters of steaming vegetables and spiced grains. Tables of natives and humans sat together. Laughter rose as they compared flavors. Ethan tried a spicy root and frowned at the heat. A young native offered him a sweet fruit to cool his tongue. Olivia raised her cup. To unity and shared growth. Zoe clapped her hands. The pavilion fell quiet. We celebrate today's work. Tomorrow we send an envoy to Earth with these samples. Ethan's heart quickened. We would be honored. Zoe held up a small crystal vial. This crystal and a data slate with your energy readings will travel with our ship. Ethan bowed. We prepare a human delegation for your visit. Music began, a soft melody from strings made of braided hair fibers. The sound filled the air with warmth. Humans watched in wonder. Zoe motioned for Ethan and Olivia. They joined her on a low stage. She placed a small ribbon of earth cloth braided with metal threads in their hands. A token of our partnership, Zoe said. Your braid carries Earth's code and Ariel 7's strength. Ethan and Olivia accepted the ribbons. They tied them around their wrists. The metal threads glowed faintly under their skin. Ethan spoke softly. I will wear this always as a reminder. Olivia added, we will honor our promise. The feast continued. With stories of explorers and inventors, Zoe's mother spoke of ancient journeys under the desert moons. Olivia shared a tale of Earth's first spacecraft. The words crossed worlds. Later, Zoe walked Ethan and Olivia back to their quarters. She paused under a lantern. You have become part of our story. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. And you are part of ours? Zoe smiled. Together we will bring light to both worlds. As they entered their room, Ethan set down his tablet and looked at the braid on his wrist. He thought of the journey ahead. Data analysis, treaty preparation, the first joint mission. Olivia lay on her cot. She smiled at Ethan. Tomorrow we plan the envoy. Ethan nodded. Tonight we rest. We have built a bridge between stars. He lay back and closed his eyes. The braid on his wrist pulsed softly, echoing the heartbeat of Ariel 7. Somewhere above, twin moons sailed the dark sky. Ethan thought of Earth far away. He thought of blue oceans and green forests. He thought of human cities lit by electric light, but in this moment, under alien stars, he felt both worlds connected by light, reflection, and trust. He drifted into sleep, dreaming of the day when humans and Ariel 7 natives would stand together beyond the stars.